Welcome, everybody, to the Devil's Work podcast, the podcast where we say third time's the charm, much like Robert Eggers, Werner Herzog, and F.W. Murnau, when
Hey, that
each
was
of
good.
them took their turns, thank you, at adapting Bram Stoker's Dracula
Yep.
into the bastardization that genuinely pushed the vampire myth forward in maybe more ways than Dracula itself did.
hmm
Nosferatu.
What's good, everybody? Welcome back for another quickie. It's your Uncle Sideshow.
So we struggle with getting to the point, but today we're at it right out the gate.
Yep.
We're covering the new Nosferatu, and much like New Coke, this will be around to stay. This will be everyone's preferred interpretation, and I'll hear nothing in opposition to that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And we have a guest with us today.
Hello, everyone. It is me again.
Welcome back, Amanda. We had her on for the men episode, and then we mansplained the plot to
Yeah, yeah, it was great.
her.
I'm happy she didn't leave me.
No, it was a pleasure. I'm glad to be back. I'm
Yeah, dude.
honored.
I had to get her back on. I was like, I need to know what she felt about this one because this one's so fucking cool. So, for those who don't know, this is
And
the quickie segment. We cover movies that are kind of like currently out and just kind of give you, our little spin on it. It's a little diversion from the main feed stuff. This is just little extras that come out as movies are coming out. So, yeah.
yeah, a little stocking stuffer, as it were.
Well, this is gonna be the first one of the new year, actually. So this is gonna be the very first quickie of the
Just
new year.
barely.
So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So
yeah.
I'm very excited about
And anywho, my name's Skeptic, and I'm going to bed. But
it.
yeah, I greatly enjoyed this movie. We're not going to go through like scene by scene like we normally do. It's more about just like what are the vibes, what are the feelings here, and I greatly enjoyed it. And the whole time, I was really wondering like how much of this is the same and how much of this is different
Hmm.
than the original. And to be completely honest, I didn't even know that there was Werner Herzog
Herzog one, yeah,
ver-
yeah.
version, and now I really want to see that because obviously I
I
love Herzog.
100%. And Isabella Johnny is on there. I'm like, I need to see her performance. It's so good. She's so I love that woman so much, dude. You guys need to watch Possession. I'm telling you, man.
Well, I'm waiting for you for it to be your turn and you to pick it because I want you to have my raw,
I know.
uncut. What were we talking about?
Peanut?
Yeah, yeah. It's so good. But yeah, this one, like you were saying, I think this from now on, for this foreseeable future, it's gonna be the definitive version of Nosferatu, being that it's
Oh
just
yeah.
everything about this movie is fucking phenomenal. And I will say, before we start, I actually saw this last night again. Like 10 o'clock showing midnight. It was still pretty packed. Like it was still very like the theater was pretty full, which was awesome. It was cool, very cool to see this is making fucking. I don't even know what the box offices are just domestic for the first weekend alone, but very
It's
packed
at
theater.
budget 50 million.
Mhm.
Currently, the box office is at 43.3.
Damn, they're already making their shit back.
Damn.
But that's only domestic, right? Like that's not is that worldwide?
I don't know.
Quick, get the
It,
stats.
either way. I yeah, so I saw this again last night and on the second watch is when I got this movie. That's when I like when everything clicked and I was like this is absolutely phenomenal. For some reason, I talked about it earlier when we were like off mic like it it left a weird impression on me when I first watched it. I mean, it wasn't like I was any higher than I normally am for the viewing, but it was like one of those it's a moody ass flick. It's a very strange tone to it, a very dark, very morbid tone.
Hmm.
And it was putting me in that mood when I was watching it. Like after I finished, I was like, man, that was weird. Do I need a hug? What the fuck happened? Like,
I would I was ready for it to be very sleepy. Like we
mhm,
walked
mhm.
in on Christmas Day in the afternoon, like 1 o'clock or something.
Full bellies.
Yeah, literally right next door to the theater by my parents' house is used to be a hometown buffet, and then that was closed for
Shout
several
out.
years. And now it's a buffet called Gohan All You Can Eat. And so it's like a lot of like Asian food. Like I wouldn't just say it's Chinese food. There's
Mhm.
there's some sushi, there's some Korean barbecue. There's like a bunch of other things in there.
Dang.
But then they also had like some hometown staples: cheese pizza, French fries, ribs.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so we went in there full belly. And
yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to really try to stay sharp in this one,
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
know.
I felt the same way. Yeah.
But it's a fast two
It
hours.
is. Yeah, it moves along so well. Like without the pacing is so good without it like ever overstaying its welcome in one area. Like even the flipping between tones is so cool. Like the warm and the cool tones that are happening like
Hmm.
when they're
Uh,
indoors with the
oh
candles and
yeah,
stuff.
God, yeah.
I got so pissed off. I was on Reddit and someone was like, "Man, that black and white scene with the horse carriage," and someone was like, "What black and white
Hmm.
scenes?" And I
Hmm.
was like, "Dude, they're obviously talking about that like magnificent quasi black and white
Yeah.
effect,
Hmm.
Yeah.
which like I cannot figure out how much of it is like digitally desaturating the picture and how much of it is just lighting.
Hmm.
And then there's other shots in the movie. Like there's a part where Harding is completely in shadow and darkness, and his wife is visible, and she's like more realistically shadowed and lit for
Yeah.
like the low lighting. But he's just like just straight up like Peter Pan's shadow coming to life. And I'm just like, did they shoot? Did they composite this, or is
Yeah.
are like how did they like this?
Yeah, for sure. A
You
lot
know?
of it, yeah, when I was watching it again, like the shots that you're talking about, like the quasi black and whites are just like they're fucking moving paintings. It's so beautiful, especially when he
That
walks in
carriage
the
shot.
carriage. Yeah, the carriage,
Yeah.
exactly. That shit. I was like, yo, this is awesome. It's so good. And I called it the first self-driving car.
Mm, fucking God.
Yeah,
Adrian Dittman would love this one.
dude, it's such a beautifully fucking crafted film on every level. Like again, the writing of it, again, I also am curious. I don't know how much of it strayed from the original source material or what happened because one of the I think it was his name was Friedrich was Aaron
Mhm.
Taylor Johnson. That storyline was fucking wild, man.
I think that was pretty added in.
Okay,
Those
okay.
characters are in it,
Oh, okay, but it was
and I think like the key notes happen.
mhm.
Like probably the daughters aren't, don't meet the same fate and things like that.
Mhm.
But this family takes her in, and then she's having the visions, and then bad things happen to them because she's there.
Okay,
But
yeah,
I don't think it's as fleshed out. I think it's a little more like B plot than or like
makes
C
sense.
plot than B plot.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. Because I was like, yeah, when I was watching it, I was like, it's incredibly morbid, it's incredibly dark, like I was saying, which was lending to why I was like initially saying when I walked out of it, even the applaud at the end, which you usually get over here when it's like opening day, everything was packed, everyone was like ready for it. And at the very end, it was very scattered, like, yay. I think, like, very, very scattered. And, like, even the response online has been, like, yeah, you either get it or you don't type of shit. Like, it's funny how that's been handled. But yeah, I understood the divide when I first watched it, is what I will say. And then after watching it again, clearer. head clearer. Still, what was it? 50 milligrams of edibles I was on. That was it. So, um, I appreciated a whole lot more of the like what the performances, the composition of shots, especially when they find I mean, we're going into spoilers. I hope everyone knows this. If you're listening to this, I hope you've watched this. But when they find Thomas's body washed up on the at the foot of the castle in the river,
Mhm.
like that shot, I was like, dude, that looks like a Bong Joon-ho flick. Like that looks incredible.
Yeah, yeah,
Incredible.
it's like very, very wide and open. And at first, when she reacted, I hadn't even like found him
Seen it?
yet
Yeah, yeah.
because it's like so wide. But that's also kind of like what it would be like being out there. Like the,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
it
What
was.
were your feelings on this one, Amanda?
Oh my God, I loved it. I feel like Lily Rose Depp went all in.
Oh,
She fucking
so
she
good.
slayed her role. She
Hmm.
did like all the possession flips were insane.
That was
Um,
fucking nuts,
I'm
dude. I
sure
don't
we'll
know.
talk more about that later. But yeah,
Yeah,
I think she she did a really good job uh, and like balanced. I think a very helpless character while also like being I don't know powerful as well as we see in the end.
yeah, very much so. You're incredibly right. Like, but everyone is acting their ass off in this movie.
Yeah,
Oh my
That
God.
was a funny thing to me is I thought that a lot of the feminist elements were added in, but in going and like researching the
Researching it.
original some more, I was very surprised to find out like
It's all kind of
like
in there.
like halfway through this movie, I was like, if this ends the way that I assume it ended in 1924, which is that the men solve the problem and there's a big bloody battle and perhaps Thomas sacrifices himself.
Yeah.
I was like, that would betray all of the narrative work that they've done in this movie,
Hmm.
which is, very, very feminist. Like, constantly, there's this whole thing of like, Harding doesn't like her because she's just some, dumb woman who has psychiatric issues. So, like, she's so beneath him and like, what a like waste of his time to like deal with her and just the
Yeah.
attitudes that she's met with left and right and how she reacts to it and is like responding to it and truly like the at the core of this movie is just the idea that women are property
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
how you react to that. The movie isn't saying that, but the movie is like, how do you feel about the fact that at one point women were property,
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And yeah, I was like, man, if this doesn't end with like her solving her own problems, then they've really made a misstep here. And I was like very surprised when I went and found out that that's how the original ended too. And it's actually Dracula, the book Dracula,
Yeah.
that ends with the woman is helpless and the men all go and they find him and Dracula is very similar to this, like the
Yeah.
actual story of the
Hmm.
book, including like basically it would be this movie, but at the end when they go to destroy his coffin, um, there's like hundreds of them, and then he escapes with one of them that they didn't know about. And then they like go chase him and have like a big bloody battle with him and all this
Okay.
shit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's pretty similar, but in the 20s they didn't have the rights to Dracula, so they just changed everyone's name.
Hmm.
And even like von
That's where we got.
Franz.
Yeah, I was gonna say, or we got Orlok out of that. Like, yeah.
Well, von Franz is Van Helsing.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's a very, very like direct parallel to that.
They're
It's
they're
very,
they're
very.
all pretty much like
Yeah, yeah.
like
It's very,
it's
very.
all just
Yeah, it's so fun. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but
But you're completely right. I'm not entirely sure because I think I have seen the original source material, but it's been so long. But like I was going into like a little bit of research for this one before we did this, and it was neat to see how you're right. How much of it wasn't actually straying from the original source material? They're just kind of telling it in a new way, and with just
Highlighting.
like, yeah, highlighting exactly, exactly. So, and I didn't think it was like, yeah, trying to be anything like a reboot or anything. It wasn't trying to, be like this is the new one and like fuck the other ones. It was just like,
Nosferatu 2024.
yeah, 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 exactly. It I didn't think it was ever trying to kind of do that. It was really just a love letter to those properties that came before it. And, just in general, like the first sort of instances of a I think he is the very first vampire on screen, if I'm not correct. If I'm
I I could easily believe that. He's
Yeah.
he's the first vampire to do a lot of things as well.
Mhm.
So in Dracula, sunlight just makes it so Dracula can't use his
Just
magic.
weakens him. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He
Mhm.
can't transform and he can't mesmerize and he can't do all those other things. But Nosferatu, Orlok, was the first one where sunlight just completely destroys him.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah, so that and some other things that I can't remember off the top of my head, but he added conventions to the vampire.
Yeah, and I also liked that the way they described in the kind of the way that he told about the attacks, like how he attacks at the heart, how he
Mhm.
feeds from the chest. It's mimicking the Hag syndrome from like sleep paralysis, because it's like that's what it is like the fairy tale or whatever that was, like in the why the wives tale of it was they're sitting on the chest and kind of suffocating them.
Mhm.
That's how he's being attacked in this film, or how the victims are attacked. They're always like laying down and like he's feeding on the chest and kind of very erotically sucking the blood out of them. Which, yeah, this movie is dripping in sex, man. Oh my
Very
Yeah,
sexy.
god. This thing is
yeah.
entirely horny, man.
Well, that's a funny thing is lots of people online. I said this earlier. Lots of people online are like, Why is it? Why you gotta put sex scenes in my vampire movie? It's just like you don't like vampires.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If
It's
if
like,
that's how you feel, you just don't like them. But that's fine.
yeah,
But don't
yeah,
fucking come to see this then.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Because it's also inherently that's what's dealing with sex. Like it's, the whole thing, which it's uncomfortable because he apparently he comes to her at a very young age, which I'm thinking
Hmm.
too young.
Pretty damn young.
Pretty
Yeah.
young, yeah. And they begin what they describe as a physical relationship. So, it's sexual trauma also is in there as well. Like there's all kinds of shit laced in there. And it's so interesting too. I wanted to talk about this, like how they bring in the folk tale aspect of it with the plague and everything, but
Hmm.
also mix in the lore with Nosferatu itself, and and how he has this like hold over everybody and all this stuff. Because I think the perfect example that I saw was with Friedrich's character when they actually go at night when he falls asleep and then the girls are attacked, like the family's all killed. He's like asleep with the gun, and he's like, the hand get the shadow waves over him and everything, and it says
Mhm.
like do not wake. He had been talking the entire movie about how he was exhausted and hadn't been sleeping in days and
Hmm.
hadn't just rested at all. So you can see that as either one, it's either Nosferatu's hold over him, or it's the fact that he was just physically exhausted and been
I
awake all night.
I think it's a little of both. I think it's what allowed him to get the hold on him.
Yeah, yeah.
It's what weakened him to that point. I think him not sleeping was him subconsciously resisting,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
eventually, like you can only go so long without sleeping.
Yeah, it's like Freddy Krueger having that hold on you. Like, yeah.
Because Orlok is definitely like a Freddy Krueger type,
Yep.
you know? He's coming to them in dreams and he's controlling them while they're asleep and all of these things. So I think, yeah, on some level, that was like him resisting, and then once his family is killed, he just like completely breaks down and just like can't muster any more resistance
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
before his family because they died because he hit that end point,
Because yeah,
and
yeah.
then that leads him into what happens afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there's all kinds of, that's what I'm saying. There's all kinds of like parallels between like, yeah, is the plague happening because Nosferatu is there, or did again like just a plague ship crashed on the shore and
Yeah,
then caused the shit.
all the
So
rats.
I love that they play with both of those things, and it's
Which you
very
said,
fascinating.
Chad, are fucking a horde of trained rats, no?
Yeah, they had 5,000 trained rat actors.
So crazy, dude. That's so good. I hope they got all the cheese, man. That's fucking
All the
awesome.
cheese.
All the cheese. God. I
Yeah,
mean,
that it's and
Impressive.
everything, dude. Like the costumes. I want to jump to like the costumes.
mhm.
Jesus
Yeah,
Oh
Christ.
man, there's a couple
incredible.
coats that Thomas wore where I was like, I don't
Yeah.
know, could I pull it off?
No, yeah, I got very like obviously it's a period piece, so like obviously, but me being me, I'm like Bloodborne. Like
No, yeah,
Bloodborne.
obviously.
As soon as he walks up to the cliff and he stands right there, that wide shot of him on the mountain, I was like Bloodborne. Yeah, like
Well, that's literally the From Software and Bloodborne subreddit at the day this movie came out.
oh, that's funny.
It was all just well, you know, if he directed a Bloodborne movie, maybe I'd be interested.
Yeah,
You
for
know?
sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's a beaut. I mean, even that down to well, her name's Ella in the movie. Lily Rose Depp.
Ellen.
Ellen, yeah.
Yeah,
Ellen's
and
wardrobe is fucking phenomenal. Oh my God,
Hmm.
dude. Those deep like it was like a deep blue green kind of dress that she was wearing
Hmm.
outside kind of really matched the tone of like the overcast in the city. It's gorgeous, man. I can't say it up. What were some of your favorite outfits, man?
The dresses definitely, and I love just the whole like, especially when she's staying with, what's her friend's name?
Anna.
Anna.
Anna,
Anna.
yeah, Anna.
When she's staying with Anna in Anna's fucking estate,
Yeah.
um, and you see like when they're all dressed up together, you see like uh, Ellen's, dresses are amazing and immaculate, but Anna's are like that step above. They're just so
Very
fucking
true.
fancy. She's
Very
got
true.
like lace everywhere.
Hmm.
And I guess that's what Thomas and Ellen are like, this whole story is basically they want to make their lives better and they're not officially married, but
Not
they want to
yeah,
get
not yet.
married.
Not yet, as far as I know, I think.
They want to
Yeah.
get married. They want to seal this deal. They want to make
Mhm.
this sale, and they want to move up in their lives. So yeah, just seeing like the desire to progress in their societal rank, and
Just through their wardrobe alone, like
yeah,
even
and
that, it's
seeing that
fascinating.
that comparison, in like what Anna gets to enjoy at that time, just more frills.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating, yeah. And I was like looking at their apartment and their wardrobe and their bedroom, and I was just like, wow, it's so cozy. But
Yeah. That's so funny. I even called this. I was like, when I was explaining this to my mom when we went to go watch it again. I was like, it's such a weirdly cozy movie. Like it's like a warm blanket of a movie. It feels like I don't know.
but
It's
then
like
you
what
go
makes it.
outside and everyone's like stinky and
Yeah. It's very interesting how that the like that's what makes this a really good Christmas time movie. That's like it's the perfect season to drop this movie. It's perfect.
it definitely makes you yeah, wonder like fuck. It's really nice to not have been alive at that time because oh my god.
Hell yeah.
Like shit. As pretty as the dresses were, like, oh my
Yeah, for
god.
sure. Damn, they strap her down with the corsets. That fucking sucked, dude. I was like, oh my God.
Give him more ether.
Yeah, dude, it's
What's
so violent.
what's the thing you taught me, Amanda, when they throw the chamber pot out?
Oh, Gardy Lou.
Oh, what the fuck?
I feel like I learned that in like high school history. It's like a phrase that they use before they threw
They threw this shit out.
their
Yeah,
excrement
yeah,
out the window.
yeah,
That's look out, I'm throwing my shit.
yeah.
I could be wrong though. We had to fact check that.
No, we looked it up. You were right. And I'm realizing now. I guess that's why they call it the loo.
The Lou,
Mm.
yep, yep.
I
Yeah,
guess I don't know.
that's gross. But getting back to this, no, the actual like Orlok's actual fit was fucking hard. I love his like big ass coat that he never actually wears, right? It's just like a little bit of
I couldn't honestly I couldn't even tell you what his outfit looked like because I was just staring at him every
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. He's that's what I'm saying. That
Like
watch this again, dude. That's why,
Yeah.
because it's so much
Yeah.
to take in.
all I could think about was what's underneath. So I couldn't even tell. I just remember him kind of being like huddled up,
Hmm.
sort of like just having shit piled on him.
No, they show you
And
what's underneath in
Yeah.
the very last shot of the movie.
They
well,
do.
that was crazy to me too because I think in that last shot, like people were like, "Whoa, it's crazy that his legs were always that skinny," and I'm like,
He always
"No,
skips leg day.
I'm like, no, he withered away because he died. Like the unnatural strength
Hmm.
and power that was in his body is gone. So he is now the corpse that he should be. Because when we
Yeah,
saw him before,
exactly.
like he was built. He had like shoulder muscles and shit. So when he
Yeah.
was like throwing
When you
Thomas
see her
around,
when you see him in her dreams, he's always like this menacing huge figure too, when he's like even like holding her down and shit.
yeah, and in that last shot, his arms are withered too.
Yeah, yeah, everything. Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, he just turned into the corpse that he should be. Like the enchantment is gone, so now
God.
it's what the
That
glamour is
yeah,
gone.
yeah, yeah. That fucking last shot is so good, dude.
Yeah,
It's
Mhm.
so
I think honestly, when like an hour into the movie, I was like, I'm so shocked by how like deeply like feminist and like woman forward this movie is, how it's constantly like it is a fact that at this time these women were considered property.
yeah, he
But
even says you can't go out unaccompanied.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah,
Like
literally.
what are you thinking? Someone's gonna steal you. You belong to
Yeah,
someone else. Like
exactly.
um
It's gonna
but I was like, okay, if this doesn't end with her killing Orlok, this movie instant like I don't care how good the movie is, if it ends with Thomas solving her problems,
yeah, it's not
it
a.
becomes a giant piece of shit.
Yep. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
becomes yet another art piece that doesn't understand its own central themes.
Hmm.
And I was looking up, so Murnau was actually gay.
Oh yeah, I
So
think I remember hearing something about that.
yeah, so Murnau was gay, the director of the original.
Hmm.
I don't know if he was the writer. Screenplay by Henrik Galeen. So no, he didn't write it. He just directed it. But there's this whole thing on Wikipedia about how they can you can derive from the film themes of like anti-Semitism and
Oh
like
yeah, I
fear
remember.
of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
other
The other.
and
Yeah.
how like you know back then they thought that like Jews brought diseases with them, so
Hmm.
like
That's the
him
whole rats
looking
thing. Yeah.
yeah, him
Yeah.
looking the way he did in the original
Yeah.
and like and the bringing of the rats, that's in the original too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
it's
Very much
easier to
so.
just tell you what's not in the original
Yeah,
and
for real.
um but you know that idea and the idea you know it's also weirdly like an AIDS movie both way before and way
Hmm.
after AIDS,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
like in a weird if you think about it in that sense. And Canuck is Jewish because he's a realtor in that time,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
even in the movie we just saw he's definitely very like Jewish coded.
Hmm.
um, and basically people at the time even were criticizing it for that. And the guy who played Canuck was actually Jewish, and he defended him and was like, he was gay, dude. Like
Mm,
you can
yeah.
explore these themes without
Yeah.
advocating them.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
like he was gay, dude. Obviously, he didn't like in the 20s, in the 1920s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you think he would like not understand that other people go through the same kind of like ostracizing
Yeah,
and shit
exactly.
like
You're
that, you
very
know?
much correct though. Like with the themes of the other are very very much present in this. The like you were saying, the classist themes that are in there, the racial themes that are in there, the straight up just racial themes that are also in this one are wild. How they just let that the G word I'll say fly.
Hmm.
Yeah, which I don't like to hear or say, but it's kind of like when you're watching Django and you're like, well,
Yeah,
yeah, that's how that
time
guy
and a
would
place.
talk.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of like I don't like it, but the point is how uncomfortable it's making me. So,
Yeah, for sure. Which is, yeah, that's what I was like. Yeah, they had to tell the story, obviously, somehow, but that's, yeah, directly how they would. And it's not like, yeah, they were exactly, weary of that word back then. But
yeah.
yeah, but it was very interesting. Like you said, so many of these themes that are just very, they're explored in this movie in a way that everything is allowed to breathe. Everything is allowed to have its moment and take its time, again, without feeling like a slow burn or a sleeper, like you were saying. Like it's very, very neat. Everything moves along very well. I think the pacing is perfect. It's a very brisk 2 hours for sure.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, it's an interesting casting in many ways. Uh, Bill Skarsgård, you can't even tell it's him.
Dude, I
Like it's
forgot it
just
was even him. Like I was like, wait, wasn't Bill Skarsgård in that? Oh shit, that's right.
yeah, it's crazy. Again, another like all the criticisms I'm seeing of this movie are like really stupid and base level. People are
Mhm.
just like, I can't take him seriously with that mustache, and it's
Oh my
like
God.
Dude, yeah, it doesn't even fucking register on that
he's
second watch. It's
Dra
so
Dra
terrifying.
Dracula. The name Dracula literally means son of the dragon. And
Hmm.
the reason that his name is Dracula, the son of the dragon, is an allusion to Vlad the Impaler,
Yep,
because Vlad the Impaler's dad, his warlord name was the dragon, which I think is just Dracul,
Dracula,
something
yeah.
like that.
Hmm.
So literally, Dracula was not a title that Vlad used, I don't think, but it could be seen as a way to refer to him.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's
why
why
he's the
he's
count in this one.
yeah, exactly.
He has
But
a line of nobility, like they say, like a heritage that goes back forever.
He makes it known too.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll have you address me as my something as my like nobility.
Yeah, 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 as it commands it or something like that. Like, God
Yes.
damn.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Shit. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's something.
he's fucking intimidating. And like I love how learning about how he trained to throw his voice down 2 octaves to be able
That
to
was
deliver it,
wild.
which is fucking that's so dangerous, bro. Like as someone who
Yeah.
knows how the mechanics of that works, that's
Mhm.
fucking dangerous, and he did it anyway. While
Yeah.
rolling his R's like a motherfucker,
Yes. That
dude.
was such a strange, like fascinating accent.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
dead language, I think, from what I heard. I think it's apparently a dead language that they had to like coach. He had vocal coaches for a while. A telling him not to do that, but also B telling him like teaching him how to how they would have probably pronounced this back in the day and stuff because it's such an old language that just doesn't get used anymore.
Right. Yeah. It was really well done.
God, the scenes with it, just the lighting of the candles and everything. Like I loved what like one little detail that really rounded out the world for me was when he arrives at the inn when Thomas gets to the inn and then the old lady is rubbing garlic on the windows and she says something about Strigoi. And I was like, "Oh, I know what that word means. I think it's it's the Romanian word for like demon."
Oh
I
shit.
want to say, yeah. So like it like immediately they're right there, like kind of already laying out the base for what you're about to see and everything. I was like, this is fucking cool.
Oh,
It's a
you
little
you're right.
yeah, yeah, that's what I was saying. Because like I know that has to do with that. So when I heard that like word, I was like, oh, that's very interesting that they kind of just threw that lore in there, and it's just a kind of throwaway line off to the side that is very. It's just happening as the camera's panning. So I was like, that's fucking interesting. So
Mhm.
many little details in here that, and in the hands of any other director, terrible. It's a terrible movie. It doesn't work. It's like. Unless it's Herzog. I don't know. I haven't seen the Herzog one yet either, and I'm very excited to watch that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very basic story in a lot of ways, and so
Yeah, for
this
sure.
is
But it's just
it's
about the nuances of like the performances and all that. I think that add to, that give those retellings merit.
mhm.
We
Yeah.
haven't even talked about Willem Dafoe yet.
God, I know the fucking goat, dude. This movie too, Jesus, is so good.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Every single scene he's in, I was just like, give me more, please. And the way, like the last shot that he's in, I was like, yeah, good, absolutely. That's how you fucking, yeah, that's how you mic drop a Willem Dafoe ending.
Yeah, he's ridiculous in this movie in all the best
Oh,
ways. I
the
love all his
hats.
cats. I love
Yeah,
like
the cats, dude.
I'm pretty sure at the end too, he takes Greta. He takes her cat.
Oh yeah, yeah, I'm
Mhm.
positive. Yeah. Oh, and then when they introduce, he's like, he looks, he's like, oh, is she yours? And she's like, that's Greta. She has no masters nor mistresses. I was like, fuck yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, yes, of course, of
Yeah, he's like,
course."
yes, of course.
That was actually pretty funny too. A scene at one point um, when Harding kicks them out of his house because he can't accept all of this shit. That's the funniest part. It's like the whole movie, he's just like, "None of this shit is real. Shut up!
Yeah,
Like, what are you
yeah.
talking about?" And then his whole family dies. Um,
Yeah, it's dude, and then that his little performance real quick, that fucking ruined me, dude. Like his performance in the cemetery before they go back in the cart and like
Mhm.
drop off Willem Dafoe's character, like that performance was just heartbreaking and it's just so well delivered, man. He's my favorite part of this movie. On the second watch, he is absolutely my favorite
yeah,
part of this movie.
I've seen it said that he's not as good of an actor as everyone else in this movie, and I disagree.
Fuck that, dude. He is
There's really
incredible.
only like six actors in this movie, but
Yeah,
they're all
yeah.
crazy good, you know?
Every
Oh my God. Oh my, I can't not mention it. When they go into the village, so this is what I was going to say earlier, is they do a really good job of building everything up and giving it its time because in reality, not very much happens leading up to like he he's going to marry this woman. He gets a task given to him by his boss. He goes and he drops her off at the place that she's going to stay. He leaves for his journey that's going to take 6 weeks. He
yeah.
stays at this place. He goes to the castle,
Mhm.
you know? But it's all built so well through like the atmosphere and the pacing and everything. But when he gets to that village, um, when he walks in and everyone is like, "Oh, thank God, someone with some fucking money is here." They all start begging him immediately, and there's
Just
like
straight up take his horse.
there's yeah, that's the craziest part is he didn't even realize that they just stole his horse.
They're like ballet, ballet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, and as they're like gathering around him, there's people playing drums, there's people playing like stringed instruments and
The loop.
singing and dancing, and there's women with like coins in their hair like doing kind of like this belly dancing kind of stuff. And
Dude, that
then
one transition. Sorry, I keep fucking interrupting, but that one transition where she's dancing in front of the camera and then like goes down.
she just
Dude,
falls.
I lost my mind.
Factually, she just fell on her back. That's how they achieved that shot. She just went all the way to the floor, and then they pulled her out to the side, or the camera
Just
just like,
rolls.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, but truly, she went all the way to the ground in
Dude,
real
that was
life.
so cool though. Like in the second time watching it, I just was able to again appreciate all that so much more. Sorry, continue.
Well,
I keep interrupting.
and
I'm
then
sorry.
there's like two guys who join in, and they're like dancing and doing like these balletic movements,
Yeah, the hand
and
slapping.
then they start ham boning, and
Himbo,
that was
yeah.
all I could think is ham boning will save your life someday.
Hamboning. Shout out
Yeah,
regular
dude.
show.
Yeah, dude. And you're totally right. But all of the attention to detail with every little aspect in this movie is just so it's
Oh,
so enthralling, dude, when
what
you're watching this, man. It's fucking crazy.
when he's inside the inn, because he in
Yeah.
this village, that's the whole point is he wants to stay at this inn,
Hmm.
and he has to tell the guy, I'm going to give you twice as much, because he tells them he's going to the castle, and they're like, nope, fuck you,
You're
demons, you're
Yeah.
cursed.
going to hell,
Yep. That a
and
demon.
then he gives him twice as much. But when he's inside, like, uh, it's just such a weird ass, fucking uncomfortable, claustrophobic, smoky, smarmy
Smokey, yeah, that's exactly.
atmosphere.
Yeah, yeah.
You
I
know,
love, and then speaking of that, I love the way, like, two things. I love the way that it's lit with just candles, and then the characters in the background have the candles just like a little bit on them, so you could tell. That's the only way you get any sort of separation in here, because as far as I know, that's the only way he lights his movies is with like candles,
Wow.
or like period pieces. If he's gonna do it, he lights it with the sources that are, only that they were,
Available.
native to that. Yeah, available in that source in that period. But also, when they introduce Willem Dafoe's character, he pats him on the back, and the dust like flies off his coat.
It's like, yo, this guy is like rotting away in his chair.
Yeah, dude, that
that shit was
fucking killed
funny.
me. Oh, that fucking ruins me the second time, dude. I got such a huge laugh too.
That was a good
Not
detail.
as big as laugh as the Isaac Newton line. The Isaac Newton line, fucking yeah, and then the
We
second
were
time
dying.
too. Huge laugh in the theater. Is so good, man.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
that was hilarious too. Yeah, I just figured he'd been sitting in that chair for years.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
You
And
know,
that pipe he's got, that Gandalf fast pipe is fucking cool, man. I love it, man. It's so fun. Yeah, but again, all the little attention to details with everything, like the atmosphere, like when they go out, like the attention, like I was saying, warm and cool tones, how they just drastically flip as soon as they're out in like either the daytime, it's very overcast, or if they're out in the moonlight, it's very like blue. But there's
Mhm.
always some sort of cool tone going on when they're outside, and because it's the winter time and stuff is associated with that. But then you get those warm tones, and even you being able to utilize that in an effective way of still making Orlok himself terrifying by the fireplace. Like
Mhm.
that is such a terrifying scene, and it's so effective because all of the use of shadows in this movies are phenomenal. It's beautiful.
Absolutely. Yeah, he is such a fucking imposing figure, even though he's in like a warm, very brightly lit room.
Yeah,
And
although
it's very interesting how in the beginning they're like, we only want you to see like the shape of his profile.
yeah,
Like we're
the
not
just
going to
the
give
shadow.
you, yeah, we're still going to make him super mysterious.
Hmm.
Of course, because it's like our first viewing of him. But yeah, that is an incredible scene when Thomas arrives and he's like, okay, we're going to do this.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Orlok's like, slow down, but
That's so yeah, it's such a great way of introducing the villain too, and like not he's always either shown super up close or very far away too. Like I
Mhm.
love that like you don't ever really see his face. You see semblances of his face. You see the idea of a face there, but you don't ever see his face until, it's directly shown to you later on. But I also really liked the ones it's funny. Interview with the Vampire. Do you remember the poster for that movie?
I'm not sure.
I think it's Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt like in the like behind a doorway or something like that, and it's like a shadow. They're just lit very specifically. But when Thomas wakes up in the middle of the night and he sees the townspeople going for the like hunting for the grave, that shot when he looks out the window and like he's lit in that very specific way by the light, I was like, oh, Interview with the Vampire, like that's totally got to be an homage to that like scene. Or I don't know, there's just so many love letters to things, and I feel like that was just a nod to that poster, you know.
Hmm.
But that scene
Interesting.
was very interesting. I thought it was like really interestingly handled because the way speaking of that woman from earlier who talks to him at the end, I love that she says you're trapped in a nightmare, awake but in a dream.
Hmm.
And then the next like 30 minutes of the movie proceeds to be exactly just that. It's everybody just kind of waking up from night. Even that's when he goes into the castle. That's when he's like waking up and he's just noticing everything is like kind of obscure and off and very just like hazy. And he does not, he's like popping up from place to place. And he just eventually arrives in front of the castle and he's like, what the fuck? You know,
Hmm.
like I love that the whole movie becomes that, you know, what she just said. She's like, "Yep, you're just now let's get trippy with it."
Hmm.
Yeah, it's wild. The way you wake up and you're like, I don't remember what the fuck happened last night. Like, clearly something
Hmm.
is afoot.
Yeah, I love that he wakes up by the fireplace just passed out. I was like,
Hmm.
imagine just the Count Orlok's just in the background just pouring coffee. Like, bro, last night was fucking crazy.
It's interesting that both this and the lighthouse leave this big hanging question, and the question for both of them is, did he penetrate that guy?
I'm
In the
positive.
lighthouse, I'm pretty positive it
Pretty
happened.
positive. There's no room for debate on that one.
Right? Yeah, right. Like when he beats him and makes him bark
Yeah.
before they go outside.
Yep. Yeah, that is.
There's a scene we didn't see, right?
Yeah,
Like
100%.
yeah.
This whole the whole
And
thing though, but like you were saying, like we were just saying, is very, very, very like horny. The way that he's like sucking the blood out of the bodies is very just erotic. It's very like
he takes that shit into his core,
yeah,
you know?
puts his back into him.
The way Friedrich has to get get laid one last time before he dies
That was
in the
fun. That's what I'm
mausoleum.
saying, dude. That was fucking dark, dude. I was like,
Very dark. I was
God.
like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it just wasn't. I knew the kids thing was coming. I knew that the kids was coming because it was just like they're too cute. They're too on screen for too
Well,
long.
the very first time you see him, they go, "There's a
There's a
monster under my
monster.
bed,"
Yeah,
and I was
yeah.
just like,
Mama, Papa.
Mama, papa. Yeah, they're so exaggerated. Like performances, they're great. They're so cute. But yeah, I knew that was coming, but I did not see the mausoleum shit happening. I was like,
It's
whoa.
fucking wild.
And they just fucking burn them out. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's
He's
so good.
a man pushed past his limit.
Yeah, exactly. Which again, that's what I love about this. They were able to explore these characters where like his arc wraps up in this like incredibly believable way too at the same time where he just like he broke mentally, he broke because he's like you said, the entire movie he's trying to hold on to this idea of it's not actually happened. Like we know that, yeah, it's the townsfolk are gonna say, yeah, it's a demon, whatever, but it's just a plague, right? Like we know that that's all it is. And
Mhm.
then just getting the entire just reality just shattered in front of him and not knowing what to do with that has just pushed him past his limit, like you said, and it's fascinating.
you
Poor
know,
Anna.
one day I want to have intern my wife and my two twin daughters in a mausoleum the same day money.
That's like yeah, because he's dripping in fucking yeah, yeah. He's got all this fucking money exactly, and
I
he
just
keeps
mean
bringing that up.
that's like the one criticism of the movie that I'm like, okay, that's fair. They're like, yeah, okay. Like he woke up, found them all torn apart, and was like, hey, you got any child-sized coffins in stock? I need these guys in a mausoleum this afternoon. Like I'm like, yeah, all right, that's fair, but we're telling the story here, so
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know,
Yeah.
like
No,
that,
but
like that's a little stupid, but he is rich enough to do it,
he
so
keeps talking about the whole movie. He keeps talking about, oh yeah, it's at my expense, of course, or like I've been like waiting on you for this entire time, and I don't mind it, but still, it's getting out of hand. It's like he's
yeah,
still,
he's like a shipping magnate of some kind.
yeah, yeah. I didn't even consider what he did. I just knew he came from money.
Everyone is so good, and I love like little subtle things like there's not very many people of color in this film, and I think that's okay when you're
Mhm.
telling a story about like German nobility in like
Yeah,
the
I'll let it slide.
1700s.
Yeah,
Yeah, like it's very clearly about like a specific group of people.
for sure.
But the security guards in the asylum were all a little darker than everybody else. And
I
I did think that
noticed that.
that was like an interesting little tidbit, little commentary there
Hmm.
of like uh, how nobility and people maybe even of that time view everyone in society as having like a place and a structure and a thing where they fit in, and so much of this is about where women do and don't fit in.
Hmm.
And then it's just interesting that like everybody is white, but then the one like really prominent person of color in the movie is the guy who comes to him and goes, yo, man, we just fucking arrested this hair Canuck guy, and this motherfucker's like dropping my dudes, and he's eating rats, and he's fucking crazy, and you gotta
Yeah,
listen to me. And he's
yeah,
like, oh, shut up, I'm a man of science, I know everything.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
later in the movie, like when you see Canuck in his cell, he's like smearing shit on the walls
Oh,
and
it's
writing
disgusting.
like spells and shit.
Yeah.
And then later the doctor takes von Franz in there, and he's like, "Oh, why didn't you tell me about this earlier?" And he's like, "Yes, yes, I'm a fool." And I'm like, yeah, kind of legitimately, dude. That seems like
Yeah.
it'd be an important thing to show
Pretty
your.
crucial information to have. Yeah, yeah.
By the way, he smeared doo doo on the walls in Latin, so if you can.
That's funny as shit. Yeah, exactly. Like, but I loved, okay, speaking of him, loved his fucking performances. Just
Yes.
the one clean run you get in the beginning when they introduce everything, and then it's
Mhm.
just fucking psycho for the
You can
rest of
tell
it.
he's like kind of up to something, but he's
Yeah,
still
he's
like,
he's like maniacally laughing off screen after he's like, okay, you're good for that. Mwah.
I have a job for you.
Exactly, like it's so good.
He's like, then you're gonna be set, my boy, set.
Yeah, I love
Providence.
Robin, dude. What's that? I think what's the word that he says when he delivers it after he bites the head of the pigeon and like in the cell? He says like devours some or something
Oh
like
my god.
devours. I don't know what the fuck he says, but it is a perfect line delivery. I was like, that is fucking hard, dude.
Oh
He
my
is,
god.
yeah, he was so much fun. I love that you got one scene of him acting semi-normal, and then
Yeah.
the entire rest of the movie's unhinged as fuck.
He's doing rituals.
Yeah, so good,
Holy
man.
shit. And the like when he's like literally kissing Orlok's feet and Orlok's like, get the fuck off me.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
slaps him. It's like,
yeah,
hey,
that
man.
was that was interesting. He says, "You do not crave anything of me."
Hmm.
Yeah, that was interesting.
He
Yeah.
was he was like, "You're like you don't ask me for things. You don't even want things from me."
Mm-hmm.
And then when they, and it's funny because I'm really glad that I thought of this. Um, I I highly doubt this happened in the original, but it does happen in JoJo, where
What?
they they
Whoa.
they go
Okay.
to kill a vampire, and he has the power to like stop time, and
Oh,
so
that's
he's
cool.
he's inside of the coffin, but they open the coffin and plunge the stake down,
Uh-huh.
and like immediately it happened so quickly, and you're not sure why, but it's because it's revealed he has the power to stop time. That's what like let him do this.
Oh, okay,
But
okay.
he switched himself with his minion who led them to the coffin.
Interesting.
And
That's so
so
funny.
so the guy who was right behind them is now who they've impaled. And then he similarly is like, but I gave everything for him and now
Yeah.
and then he dies. And he so they stab into the coffin and it's Canuck instead of Nosferatu.
Yep. Yep.
And he's like, I was supposed to be
The
like the
Prince of
Lord,
Rats.
yeah, the Prince of
Yeah,
Rats.
I was
Yeah.
like, that's so interesting. Why was that? It sounds so specific.
That's exactly, yeah.
I was so curious about that. I was like, why did they say that? That's such an interesting thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if that lines up with a like specific demon, but I really
Hmm.
don't know. Um
Yeah, I was just curious. It was
there's
a go ahead.
there's a song on the soundtrack called that,
Yeah, yeah.
The
I was
Prince of
looking I was
Rats.
Googling it earlier trying to figure it out, and yeah, no, I couldn't come up with anything like concrete, but it sounds very specific, and the way he says it, he's like, I should have been the Prince of Rats. Was very interesting. I don't know. But yeah.
I, I I wonder. There's a grimoire, a magic book called the Ars Gotia, and like when you play Persona or SMT,
Mhm.
there's uh, lots of references to the Gotia, and
Oh, that's
basically
neat.
it's like this the 72 angels who left with Satan
Oh, trip
who
out.
like then became demons. So like Baal, Paimon, Belith,
Mhm.
Asmodeus. There's just like there's a bunch of them. Belial is one of them, and
Yeah,
that's who they
yeah.
said he like used to serve and pray to. That's why he became a demon. So
Hmm,
like
hmm.
the Count Orlok version, he he served these demons in life, and then when he died, they put his soul back in his rotting body.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's why he's like all like has open wounds
All
and his
decrepit
lungs are
and
like
shit.
torn open. That's why he's
The
like,
wheezing, yeah, the
yeah,
wheezing all
because
the
like
time is
literally
so
one of his lungs doesn't have a bottom.
that's
It
crazy.
seems like because especially if he's supposed to have Vlad the Impaler parallels,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they impaled Vlad the Impaler.
yeah, yep.
I'm
That
fairly
yeah.
certain they were like, listen, bitch, you don't fucking do this to us. He said, oh my God, is that what that feels like? I'm a
Yes, I'm a
monster.
monster. That's so
Um,
dope.
but anyway, I wonder if you go through the Gosha, I wonder if one of them is not like the king of rats or the prince of
Prince
rats
of
or
Rats, yeah.
something,
Well,
you know?
it also was interesting how they even talked about how I keep forgetting Defoe's character's name. Albin Erber. Oh yeah, I can't even pronounce that. Erbhart?
Von
Erbhart?
Franz.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so him, whenever they talk about him, his past, that he's actually been thrown out of the academy because of his belief in the occult and in alchemy and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
it's interesting that they like brought all of that into this time period too, because that would have been something that's looked down on and stuff, and even having the no excuse or explanation for her fits, as they call them, in the middle of the night. They think it's gonna be, they just think it's just seizures and stuff, which it is, and it
yeah,
is epilepsy. but but I love that they again incorporate that with the, spiritual side of this as well, and like the occult and stuff like that. It's so interesting how they incorporated all of these fucking things into this one gigantic fucking movie.
Yeah.
yeah. It's really crazy, and it's just interesting how modern minded it was, and I think that was the piece that I was missing was just understanding that Murnau was gay. That truly
Mm-hmm.
like for a man, for a white man specifically,
Yeah.
um, of that time to like understand the plights and that people are uh, oppressed and all of those things. Like it wasn't going to be a straight man,
Yeah,
you
which
know?
is interesting. Like, because I never really considered, like, I knew you grow up and you're kind of like Nosferatu. Yeah, 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 we all We all know it's a very
We all know
influential.
Nosferatu.
We all knows for us. So so you're very aware of the fucking impact that this has had in the culture and how it's driven everything forward, but you never really like bother to go in and find like the intricacies of why that is exactly, you know what I mean? Because even from seeing it on the surface, I don't know if you would get like, oh yeah, that's a gay director telling this story specifically, but it's like having the cultural like or at least being aware of the cultural time and like the pinpoints that was going on in that era, having all of that understanding of the time period is very interesting given the fact of his existence during that specific era when this story or his existence period would have been looked down on.
Yeah, and something that I feel is again, it's just crazy how ahead of its time it is. There are attitudes and
Hmm.
there are plot points in this that could have fucking sworn
We're
were
added in.
contemporary.
Yeah, contemporary. Yeah.
But literally, she solves her own problem because it's all a matter of who owns her, and
Hmm.
nobody owns her. She is the master of her own destiny.
Yep.
So she goes and solves this problem. The matter of consent, of you have to choose this of your own free will.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will kill everyone you fucking love if you
Yeah.
don't do what I tell you to do, but
Yep.
you will make that choice of your own free will. That's not a choice. That's
Yeah.
not free will.
Literally.
That is not consent. If you put a gun to somebody's head and
Do
tell
you
them to do
consent?
something, that's not fucking consent.
Yeah,
Mhm.
You
yeah.
know? And I've literally seen people say, "Well, she consented." And
That's
I'm
Mhm.
like,
fucking
no,
insane, dude.
you should
Yeah.
never be around another human being because
Literally.
you don't understand.
Seriously.
Yeah,
And
for real.
like,
Yeah.
she made the choice to sacrifice herself, and
Hmm.
part of that choice did involve having sex with him.
Hmm.
You know,
Mhm.
so in that sort of way, perhaps. But if she had gone with him the way he wanted her to, that would not have been consent. The
Yeah,
only
exactly.
consent in the situation is because she's taking power by
Mhm.
doing it. And the way that she's literally like, nah, keep sucking on my titties. Come on,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
keep
yeah,
sucking on
yeah,
my tit and
yeah,
like and then
Sun's
yeah,
not up yet.
the
yeah.
sun comes up. Yeah, like literally
Sun's getting real low, big guy.
it, man, I just that was so humorous to me, but in a way of just like, yeah, what would any guy do?
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
any guy would lose in that situation if it's literally just if the sex goes for too long, you lose, and she's just like, but more sex. You're like, yeah, I don't need my job.
Yeah.
I don't need these things. Yeah, let's sure. You know,
Yeah. I
I
really liked
love it.
Anna's character too. I feel like she
Yeah.
was a ride
She
or
has a
die through the whole
really,
movie.
yeah, really good flip towards the end too, when she's like actually bedridden and everything. That her
Hmm.
flip was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
that
But
was
like, go ahead.
no, no. You finish first.
I don't know. I feel like she was
That's how our
just
relationship works.
she was she was just the whole movie like, no, like you're like my sister, like I'm gonna be here for you, like
Yeah, she's like your
I'm
love is our friendship is very very important to me or something like that. It's a very big part
mhm.
of my heart. Yeah, that was cute, very cute.
When like I mean in reality she could have just been like just like Friedrich, like God, you're so fucking annoying. Honestly, I
Yeah.
feel like part of the reason that he, rapes Anna's corpse is because he probably hasn't been getting laid the whole time that Ellen has been staying with them,
That's
which
yeah, that's
just
fair. Yep.
adds to like, he was like a selfish, misogynist asshole. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I feel like their characters are fascinating and yeah, Anna was an amazing character, and I feel like she adds to the like she's just the whole movie. She's like, no, like we're gonna figure this out. Like,
Yeah, that's why it's so heartbreaking when she's in the bed and she's like, I have to tell the kids that I'm okay. Like I have to reassure
mm-hmm.
them. Like
Yeah,
It's so heartbreaking. Yeah, there again, the perform like this movie doesn't work if those performances aren't as fucking like top notch as they are, like as god tier as some of these are, because they all have some fucking amazing screen moments, like
Yeah.
Prob prob
insane.
Probably actually the scariest, like most disturbing thing in the whole movie is when he comes to her and tells her, these you have these 3 days, like you just denied me now. You have 3 days to agree to come with
Hmm.
me,
Hmm.
or
To consent.
yeah, or the contract will be done or whatever, and all this stuff, and I'm going to take them away from you, everyone you love, starting with her. And then she wakes up in bed, and when she like rolls over and she's on the floor being eaten by rats.
Yeah, that was
That was
fucking
actually like the most
crazy.
disturbing thing in the whole movie.
Yeah.
That's like, ugh, I don't want that.
I don't
Yeah.
like that one.
Yeah, it's bad way to go. Bad
Yeah.
way to go.
Yeah,
God,
for
the
sure.
the shots of his shadow reaching out over the town. I remember in like a
So good.
trailer seeing that and thinking
Mhm.
that it was like something just for the promotion, and that it was like so cheesy, and like maybe in the 20s that could like work, but it actually worked really
It
well
works
in the
really
in the
well.
movie itself.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I love, and again, and just the emphasis on his hands and the nails and the fucking like decrepit bones and everything.
Yeah, I
So
loved him
good.
being I loved him being this like, because usually it's just vampires are ancient, and originally they were demons, and then they started biting people, and then people bite people, kind of a thing. He doesn't really create any vampires.
No,
He
he leaves
Mhm.
bodies in his wake. He doesn't fucking leave like undead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they said he died, and then Belial brought him back, and so that's why he's like this rotting corpse. And when we see him come out of his coffin, when he chases Thomas around, and we see
Hanging
his
dong.
pencil, his
He's
crayon,
giggling.
his his dark brown burnt umber, those thick crayons that you used in kindergarten. Um, he's just got like worms crawling out of his back
Uh,
and shit, like
yeah,
he's
yeah.
very much just like not a living being anymore.
Hmm.
And I thought that was really interesting to do that instead of the like beautiful vampire.
Yeah, yeah. To make that's what I'm saying. Like even down to the fact that he didn't even have fangs for this one. He just has like gnarly ass teeth.
Mhm.
That's all it is, and
Mhm.
like he just feeds with like because I liked that he would look at the bites on his chest and they were just like teeth marks.
Mhm.
It's not fangs, you know.
Some of them
Yeah.
had like three holes, it looked like. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Where he's like,
When
yeah, maybe just a nibble tonight. I'm not gonna.
when they go, I thought this is actually kind of humorous though. When they go to the funeral and they're waiting for Harding to come out so they can talk to him,
Hmm.
and then he sees Von Franz and he's like, "Fuck all you, get out of here, leave right now." And they're
Yeah,
like, "No, dude, no, this is serious, blah blah blah." And he's like,
pulls
"Shut
down the
up,
shirt.
they're dead." And he's like, "These dreams are real." And he pulls, and I'm like, he just found his wife and his daughters torn limb from
I
limb.
think
Like,
I
I
think
think
he
he
knows.
knows that but also he like blamed it on rats, I think is like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He says it was the plague. That's what
yeah,
yeah, he
yeah.
thinks it was the plague. So,
It's interesting too. I don't know if you caught this on your second view, and I caught it on our first, but when he goes to talk to Canuck,
mhm.
around his hairline, he has plague sores already.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God, that's the thing too with the subtle reveals that they have. Like, it's so. Oh my God, it's so well done, and especially for Friedrich when he's like puts his hands on the coffin, like before he like commits that act. But like when he puts his hand on the coffin and he lays down, and you see the sores all across his like head, and like I think it's like across his like right next to his eye,
Yeah, like
and then he
this
like pukes up
unnatural
blood.
escalation of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. And yeah, even in the yeah, in the beginning, you're right. When he goes to talk to Kaneki, he has the sores on his like I think his like right hand side when he goes
Yeah,
towards the camera and like talks to him. Yeah,
yeah,
you can see it slightly, which I noticed in the first viewing. But yeah, it's more prominent and very much like purposefully shown when you watch it again for sure. It's very very interesting.
yeah. That was an interesting reveal that he was like the thrall. He was his Renfield.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out that. Yeah, it's so funny being the homeboy. Didn't he play Renfield?
The same guy?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I think didn't
Oh,
Nicolas
am I?
Cage?
It was Nicolas Cage, but he played Dracula. But the guy who
Oh,
played
oh, okay.
Renfield, I forgot. I think it was him. But anyway, they made that, and I was speaking of which, I was like, I like that they included the Demeter, the voyage, the that whole little section in there, but they kind of just like
That's true.
rushed past it, you know?
Yeah, that is what that was. That was kind
Hmm.
of just the Demeter done quickly, and that's in the original Nosferatu as
Yeah,
well.
that's the view of him from the ship. Like when people see the bottom, that's him on the Demeter.
Yeah,
Yeah, I also
yeah. It
really
was
liked the inclusion of when he speaks in that language. The subtitles that are on the screen remind me of like when you read it in a book when a character is like speaking. You know how that like font change in a book happens?
Mm,
hmm,
That's what it reminds me of, like when a character is speaking, how like you'll just have that like it'll go to like it's italics. You know what I mean?
mhm,
interesting. I
Yeah, I
kind of know what
love.
you mean. Older books.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, yeah, in general, like that's kind of what it felt like when he started like speaking in the beginning. You're just like, oh, okay. Like his presence is known physically, obviously with a brooding like atmosphere, but like also through the text that's being shown on screen. I thought that was really interesting.
mhm. I love subtitles.
Hard same. I know people fucking hate them, and I'm like, you uncultured swine.
You can't read, ass bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
God.
Yeah. And then another one I had was the use of mirrors is so well done in this fucking movie. So, like
Mhm.
the composing of the shots with like I forget Herr Franz, you said? Von
Von Franz.
Von Franz. Von Franz, when he steps into the room, I think initially when he sees him and he's like, untie this woman. Like when he steps in, there's a shot where it pulls back and you see like there's a mirror standing on the little cabinet that's right there, and then you just see his face perfectly framed. I was like, oh my God, that's so well done. Like everything is so tightly composed and like purposeful and like it's incredible, dude. The use of mirrors is incredible in this movie.
Mhm.
God, it just works on all levels. Like it's it's interesting that like I feel like vampires, much like zombies, like if someone like I feel like the way that you get me these days to watch a vampire movie
Hmm.
is you just don't tell me there are vampires in it. And
Fair?
then as I'm watching it and it's a good movie, I go, "Oh, it's vampires. Okay." And then and
Yeah,
then
for
I
sure.
then I keep watching the movie. But what if you just
Yeah.
go, "It's vampires." I'm like, oh, that thing
Uh,
that we've been writing about for 150
yeah.
years and that was perfected a long time ago, and then we just keep making it worse and worse.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. It's like vampires and werewolves are kind of at that point where, like, you don't like the Wolfman. I'm like, okay. But dog soldiers, I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Interesting. Yeah, for
It's
sure.
like
Yeah.
it's like you kind of have to it's weird. I feel like
I
I
kind of
just
want to do it. I want to
contradicted
do it.
myself in a way, but people will understand.
No, but I understand what you're saying. Like, I think, like we are getting an oversaturation right now, especially of werewolves. Like, that's especially during this time because we had what I think two werewolf movies dropped this year, and then we have the
Well, it's
Wolfman
it's
still.
it's kind of just there's no real like mystery left to them. It's just like by
Yeah,
the
yeah.
time you get to the like if the reveal is oh this is it's a werewolf, that's why so now all these things make sense because
Hmm.
I wasn't thinking it was that as opposed to like the Wolf Man. It's like, oh yeah, it's a
Yeah,
werewolf
I will
movie.
say I do
Like,
want to do a quickie on the new Wolfman. That one actually looks really fucking good because I love Christopher Abbott and everybody involved. So I am very curious about that one. I want to see
the
how they do it.
I
I know you're saying I know, but I just
I was excited for I think Benicio del Toro's The
yeah,
Wolfman,
yeah, yeah.
and
That one was
I went
oof.
and I saw that with like 10 or like literally like 10 or 15 of my friends, and like 15 minutes into that movie we all just went, this sucks, and got up and got a refund. So like that's why I'm kind of like, I don't know. I think the Wolfman as a concept is just, now it's like you got to do something with it. You can't
That's what I'm
just
saying. I feel like the psychological aspects are kind of there, but like we're getting off into another tangent. But that being said, I just think this like everyone also has this expectation that they're going to kind of bring back the old monsters and like, oh, we're going to do it right this time, quote unquote. It's
yeah.
very dumb. I don't think they're going to end up doing that. But I think this is a very good start to if they were going to like do a quote unquote monster universe again.
The
This would
dark
be a good, yeah, the
universe.
dark universe. If they were going to get it right this time, this would be a good place to start. But that's not going to be the case. I know that this is a very self-contained movie. Eggers has very much said that himself. He's like, "There's not a sequel. We're not opening this. This isn't Marvel." Like,
No post credits.
yeah, no post
Seriously.
credits. Exactly. Yeah.
Well,
So yeah.
it ended with her slaying the monster with her pussy, and
Yeah.
I think that's pretty awesome. Like truly, how can you watch that and then be like, there's no feminism in this movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like literally the first page of the first issue of Berserk. Have you ever
Oh
looked at
yeah,
this?
yeah, yeah. He's just like he's fucking a demon, right?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
just fucking this woman in the woods, and like she becomes a demon as he's penetrating her, and then he sticks his false hand, which falls and turns into a cannon, because Berserk's the coolest fucking thing in the world, into her mouth and blows her head away. And like literally the reason is because
uh,
when you write manga, you expect that editors are going to look at the first page and either be interested or just throw that shit away, and
yeah,
they
for
keep
sure.
going
That's
through
your hook.
submissions.
That's your
So
thesis
he
statement.
just needed something. But guys will see that and be like, that's the coolest thing ever, fuck yeah, like raw dog a demon. But then they'll watch this movie and be like, wow, dumb bitch. She didn't know her place. Why didn't she like let that man solve her problem? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
the getting of it but not getting it is just insane. But what I was saying a minute ago about like vampires and stuff is just funny that I feel that way. But then this movie, which is just the same movie it was 100 years ago,
Mhm.
it's just like it was perfect here. Why did we keep going?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Exactly. I don't know. I mean, I'm never really you're right. You're 100% right. If I don't know it's vampires and I find out it's vampires while in the course of watching it, way better. Way fucking better. Like I didn't know um a girl walks home alone at night was going to be what it was until like I had seen the movie itself. I just saw the poster and I was like, that's interesting. What the fuck is that? And then it was like, yeah, but it's vampires. I was like, oh shit. I was like, word, okay. Like now we're in, you know? And I feel like also like from Dusk Till Dawn, if you didn't see that, before and you didn't see that shit coming, you're just like, what the fuck? But
Yeah,
you're
like
right, it's more
it
effective.
works a lot better if you're
Yeah.
in the crime drama, and
Hmm.
then you get the flip, as opposed to being like, yeah, I know that it's not really about the crime drama, so like just get to it.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So yeah, but all in all, I don't know. I feel like this movie on like you were saying on all fucking cylinders hits on every single level. Every aspect of this was fucking phenomenal. The feminist traits that are still in this movie in a modern day telling, seeing as you said, like it was 100 years old already at this point because it was 1922 when this came out. I want to say.
19, I think it's 24. I
Oh,
think it's
24.
actually
Wow, so
lit.
it's literally actually
I
100 years old now.
I think it's literally, yeah, 100 years.
Wow, trip the fuck out.
Love
Wow,
it.
but yeah, being that it's 100-year-old vast movie property, like that they're giving this, love letter to is pretty interesting because even like the dialogue in the movie too is so fascinating the way it's delivered because it's very Shakespearean, it's very theatrical, it's very over the top, but it works so well for what they're trying to achieve here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, costumes, everything, man. You were right. We were just gonna drop the synopsis and then just go right the fucking. You're totally right, though. That's all we did this way. Just blow this movie this entire episode.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, it is what it is, and what it is a really fucking excellent movie. I wasn't scared for 1 second. I wasn't, it's not horrific, it's
Mhm.
not bloody and gory and,
Hmm.
all those things, but like
It's
it's
a
a very fascinating story.
thick atmosphere of tension, though.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a fascinating story told very excellently with an insane cast.
Yeah.
Ralph Ineson is the Doctor Severs. He's
Oh yeah.
incredible as
He was
well.
great.
Yeah, he's so good.
Um, I mean, literally the whole cast in terms of like main principal actors:
Hmm.
Skarsgård, Nicholas Hoult, Lily Rose Depp, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Emma Corrin as Anna Harding, Willem Dafoe, Ralph Ineson, and then
So
Simon
good.
McBurney as Herr Canuck.
Yeah,
So
that was nuts, man. He's so fucking
so
good in
it's
this movie.
it's literally eight actual characters
Yeah.
in the movie. Everyone else is just an extra in so many ways.
Hmm.
Like there's probably like another five people that have lines in the movie.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. It's I don't know. And you're totally right. There's so much that like again, but what I was saying actually is to echo that you're incredibly right about the actors and the powerhouse acting, but again, this movie does not work if those actors don't deliver on that caliber. Like if they don't do their job and get you interested in seeing the story progress, they're not, the movie doesn't work. It's not effective. But the way that they deliver
Man,
this is so Shakespearean and everything is so poetic, man. Everything, every single line has gravity to it. It's so
Hmm.
interesting.
yeah, the rituals that we see throughout the movie are really fascinating too. Like we see the virgin on the horse leading them to the grave of the
Yeah,
vampire
that one was cool. Yeah.
when he sees that, which is so crazy because I'm like, so who is that vampire? Like that
Exactly. And
like
like
that's a whole thing that like I'm just like, but not in a way where it breaks the movie, but just in like
you're like, what the fuck
who
is
the, who the fuck
Orwell?
is, yeah, what.
Yeah. And the fact that he also has the fucking mud on his feet afterwards is so
Ye-
cool. I was
Yeah,
like,
so that
that's
so that
so
really
cool.
happened for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's
but
and again,
he's already losing time because he's already under some level of mesmerization.
hmm
That's really like what this movie is focused on, is the vampire's power to mesmerize and
yep,
control
to
people.
draw him in. Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Uh,
any final thoughts, Amanda? What did you
It was
I mean,
great.
clearly we all loved it, but still, how much did you love it?
I really enjoyed it. It was a great way to spend Christmas. I think that was definitely
Yeah.
my first like Christmas Day movie. We just went down to what Chad likes to call the dirt mall. It's a nice dirt mall, but the theater was nice. It was like one of
it's a
those,
hive of scum and villainy.
wasn't it like a recliner theater? Or was that
Yeah, I was
inside?
actually
Ooh,
very surprised,
nice. Hell
especially
yeah.
for the dirt mall. I was like, "Whoa, I didn't think you
Dirt
guys
ball.
would do all this."
And we were in like the front row, right?
We were in the second row, and yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
was
was second
surprised,
row too.
especially at that theater. I was like, "Oh, we could just get our tickets day of, and it'll be fine." And we showed up, and
It was like
Packed
full.
as fuck.
there was
Yeah.
like 10 seats left. I was
It
like, "What
was,
the
Yeah.
yeah.
fuck?"
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
clearly everyone was very excited and for good reason. You should definitely go see it.
It was interesting leaving, hearing like families that saw it together,
That is
and
crazy
hearing
too. Yeah.
hearing like the kid being like, no, so like he is Dracula, they just changed the name, and then like all these things and like how the myths combine, and I was like, oh, that's a wild, I don't know, crazy to see it with your family on Christmas. Like,
Yeah, dude, people were
uh,
bringing kids left and right. I was like, that's fucking crazy. You guys know what this one's about? All right.
yeah, parents will take their kids to see this, but then they'll say that, don't teach my kid gay people exist.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh yeah. So all right, well, we like to rate these ones by horns up, horns down on the quickies. So Amanda, what would you like to rate this one?
Horns up, fangs up,
Yep.
rotten corpse teeth up.
So
Whatever he was rocking in the movie.
it's so gross, dude. It's the hunchback and it's the fact that it's like caved in too at some point. It's just I gotta chill just thinking about it. It's so gross, man.
Yes, it was great. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was visually beautiful. Yeah, they really went off.
You know what? We didn't touch on this, but I just want to mention it before I give the intro to this movie is absolutely beautiful and
Perfect. It's
fascinating. And
perfect.
I
Yeah.
and I love when it comes back around later when she tells him the origin of all this. She's like, I opened myself up to this.
Hmm.
I did not know what he was, but I was so lonely and so miserable. I prayed for anything. She wants a guardian angel. She wants a guiding spirit, but
Yeah.
Mhm.
instead she gets him. And they reveal that, he had been with her throughout her childhood and her teenage years, and eventually he leaves somehow. Like she said, it started off like sweet and romantic, which is
Yeah.
horrifying to
And then it
imagine.
got like torturous.
Yeah, and eventually he left for whatever reason. And Amanda and I were talking about this, and I think it speaks to how men like they sort of think they can do better. They're sort of I remember this being a constant mindset of people that I knew when I was younger. And I
Mm.
feel like there's sort of like it's like a younger but also an older man thing of being like, okay, well, I have her, I have them, but I don't want to commit on like a huge level. So
Mm.
like I'll stay cool, I'll stay casual, but really I'm looking for something better than this.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
and
Yeah.
often because you're doing that, you lose that person.
Hmm.
But then, 10 years later, Orlok goes on fucking Fang Book and
Oh my
he
God, that's
sees that
funny.
she's about to get married and now he's like, "Oh, I got to shoot my shot." Like, what?
God damn
No,
it.
I still want her. But it's like she wasn't good enough for him. He left her already.
He's like,
Yeah.
Shorty, I
Yeah.
bought a new house for you. Look.
So it's just this weird like men and like having their cake and eating it too, and just like
Yeah,
Very
all
true.
it's
treating the women like property.
yeah. There's so many different readings of like the sexist elements of it, but I just found that so interesting and so pure. Her just being like, please, just anything, anything, come, like, please help me.
Yeah.
And in reality, nothing happens,
Hmm.
But even worse than that would be he's the one who answers that prayer. And I think that alone, like, that could have been a whole other its own movie.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that
I
and
agree.
that's I don't think that that's present the uh, in the original. I think in the original, she's just the girl that he victimizes. Like it's
Mm.
not any deeper than like she didn't cosmically ask for it, and even that in terms of like she asked for it
Yeah.
kind
Yep.
of
Exactly what I was gonna say.
mindset.
Yeah. Exactly what I was gonna say.
So
Yeah.
yeah, in the original, he sees a picture of her and says she has a lovely neck, and then she starts having visions and shit. So I think he like literally he just this guy comes to sell him a house, and while he's there, he's like, "Yeah, I'll take his wife too. Why not?"
Yeah. Yeah.
As
I
opposed to
know they
this, where
added
the
that
whole
whole.
thing is Ellen.
Yeah, exactly. They added the whole backstory after that, which was interesting. That's cool that
Yeah,
they
and I
built off of
think
that, though. It works.
yeah, and it strengthens it in so many ways. But I really like that she addressed it and they actually talked about it in so many movies. That's like a huge thing where it's just like, just have a conversation about what's going on,
Hmm.
but also like just thematically how strong that is. And just in terms of an idea. I think it's just like creatively and cinematically, just a very interesting and like beautiful way to start something. You know
Yeah, and it's also the
Mhm.
imagery that
prayer being twisted.
everyone's so familiar with that imagery already right off the bat. Like that's what you know. Like that's all in the trailer, and it's like, all right, cool. You saw this. Now the movie can start. You know,
Yeah,
like it's
yeah.
very cool how that. You're right. It serves a lot of purposes up top.
It really goes a long way to like she created this problem, and it's not her
Mhm.
fault, but
No.
she made that prayer, and he was able to take advantage of that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
But then she
exactly.
also solves that problem at the end,
Yep.
and I love Willem's face when because he knows they planned in secret. He's gonna take the guys on this goose chase,
Yeah.
and she's gonna have sex with him
He
until he
tells her to make sure
dies.
he's ready for that false journey.
Yeah, and then when they're like about to set fire to everything, and he's not there, and they realize he's already with Ellen, and then they're like, I forget what they say, but they're like, oh no, what are we gonna do? And they turn around to look at him, and he's like this, and
Yeah.
then and they're like, you
He
knew, and
pulls the Terrifier on them. He pulls just an art on them like
they're like, you knew, and he's like, yeah, I did,
It's
and
like
it's
you
just
guys
like,
can't fucking win against this guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. He's like, we would have been fucked if he was in the coffin, bro. Like, we were not winning that fight. But it's kind of interesting because in truth, them destroying the coffin, like it was like double indemnity. They had beaten him in both ways. Even if she didn't do that, they still would have beaten him, but he probably would have still murdered all of them and fucked everything up before he withered away. But yeah, just a couple things I wanted to comment on. Anyway,
Yeah,
Horns Up.
absolutely. Oh,
It's the best. It's the second best horror movie of the year.
yeah, for sure. I know. Obviously, I mean, horns up. Horns all the fucking way up for me. Like, there's no way that this is a movie that I would not recommend to everybody. You're totally right on that note. I was thinking about that too when we were talking with Austin earlier about if this is better than the substance. I'm like, motherfucker. Like, I don't. Maybe I don't know. It's no, I wouldn't say, but like in terms of a movie, I think I like The Substance better. Like in terms of just as a narrative film. In terms of like what this movie was accomplishing in terms of like a vibe, this movie absolutely wins that one. But they're two very separate movies. I don't know if I can say one's better than the other definitively, but I do think that this one has so much to offer because also Eggers takes his time between projects and he like definitely plans the shit out and he like he's such an auteur on every single level like we talk about. And, like those are the movies that we generally on the show seem to appreciate the most. And yeah, the dude knocked it out of the fucking park with this one. They said that another one I heard rumors of it being like which one was he greenlit for another remake of he was set for another remake of another movie soon, but I was like I kind of hope that it's not. I want to see a more original stuff from him because I'm always like very interested when he does that. But yeah, this is an incredible one to add to his catalog of what now 5 movies. That's fucking
It's
crazy, dude.
I've been
I think
spoiled with Willem Dafoe this week.
yeah, after
Yeah,
this and
dude.
The Lighthouse.
Oh,
Um,
so good.
it's funny because I was reading when he was being asked to be part of The Lighthouse. So Eggers had met Pattinson like a couple years before, and they talked about doing another movie. And Pattinson passed because he said that it wasn't going to be like enough of a challenge for him.
Interesting.
Um, and then finally, he got him to agree to do The Lighthouse. And then he went to Defoe and he was like, "Hey, I have Pattinson and he wants to do this movie with me. You should be in this movie too. It's just two guys in the movie." Um, and I'm trying to pull up the quote right now of
It's
what
just two dudes.
Just bros
Just two
being
dudes,
bros.
Just
two
two
dudes
wickers.
totally not touching dicks.
Fucking
Oh,
stupid.
man.
Amanda with the hard R, it's wikis.
Oh, it's Wiki.
It's so
I thought
Yeah,
he said wicker. My bad. My bad. Cut that chat.
yeah, cut that, cut that.
Do not clip that chat.
Um,
God, that's so.
so so Edgar's initial film proposals with Defoe were not fruitful. Defoe and Pattinson had met at a party, and Pattinson's participation in The Lighthouse was used as a selling point to Defoe. When Eggers and Defoe met in person to discuss the project, the director was plain spoken. Defoe recalled, "There was no discussion. This is the way we're going to do this, my way or the highway." That's very unusual, especially for a two-hander, for a director to say, "This is the way I see it, yes or no." So he told him no.
That's
He was like,
wild.
if that's how you are, then I don't want to work with you.
That's wild.
And then eventually he talked him into being in the movie, and now it seems like just like Anya Taylor Joy, like he's just going to be in all of his movies. You
Yeah,
know,
he says Eggers is. I read a quote where he was like, "I just can't imagine making a movie without him anymore. I can't." I was like, "That's fucking crazy." I hope that's the case. I hope that's the case. It's so good.
it's funny when we were talking to my mom about this Nosferatu and Willem Dafoe. She just kept going, "Am I crazy or is he sexy?" And we were like, "Yeah, he is." And she was like, "No, no, no. But you have to understand, he's not handsome. He's not cute. He's sexy. Like there is
Yeah,
something
he's
about him
dripping with
that
sex.
is
Yeah,
He's like
just
he's
sexy."
sexier now than when he was young.
And then she's like looking
yeah,
up pictures of him like
yeah.
in his 20s. She's like, "He does not look good there. He looks sexy now." And I'm just
Cut it, girl.
Yeah, yeah. It's the confidence thing, man. Every single movie that he does, the older that he gets, like the older he gets, you could see just how much charisma is left in that man, and like he's so damn charming. So yeah, absolutely, like appeals to every single buddy. Like yeah, everybody can get it. Absolutely.
Big Wiz.
everybody can get it. All
But
right. Well, thank you guys for spending your not Christmas day with us.
I think this will be
We
post New Year's, so this is literally the
yeah.
very first thing of the new year people will hear from us.
Yeah. So we hope you're nursing a hangover right now. We hope you had a good time last night.
Yep.
Remember to check her finger for a ring and her mind for an intense psychic bond to an otherworldly vampiric demon.
Yes.
And just be nice.
We hope it was as good for you as it was for us.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, you guys can find us on Facebook at the Devil's Work Podcast. You can find us on Instagram, the Devil's Work Pod, on TikTok at the Devil's Work Podcast. Question mark? Is it Devil's Work Pod or podcast? I always forget. Either one. Start looking that up and then type it in. If it pops up, it pops up.
You'll
Uh
find us
You'll
eventually.
find us eventually. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you already know, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, all that stuff. If you're listening to this, you can find us on YouTube as well, the Devil's Work Podcast. And I also am doing Twitch streams now. So I'm doing a lot of games. I'm going to be streaming Max Payne coming in soon, reliving a little childhood. I fucking I love that series so much, dude. Um, but yeah, doing that. I play some Elden Ring. We even watch movies sometimes that we do on the show. So if you want to come over, hang out, because I don't save the VODs for those. It's, copyright bullshit. I don't need in my life. So, so come over and hang out on Twitch, twitch.tv/sideshow, PSY, spell it right. And I think, well, we'll probably have teased it in the end of Better Watch Out, but I think you guys are getting DOA 3 next week.
Hmm.
Oh man, dude, that movie is fucking
It's a lot.
that's a lot. Man. Now having seen it, that shit is wild. Like talk about an ending that just didn't I didn't anticipate whatsoever. And even in my current as high as I was crying, laughing, dude. Like it was so fucking funny. Such an interesting ass movie. We'll talk all about that one on that episode. Go check out those movies. Yeah, any go watch a Mike movie this weekend, man. Go cleanse that palate with a Mike movie.
See, Eggers will shoot a shot where a man's erect penis cross dissolves against the lighthouse so that you get what the metaphor is, but then he'll let his financiers tell him to cut it. Mike will put that shit in the movie.
Exactly. He'll let that shit rock.
That's a real thing. They shot that for the lighthouse and they did cut it.
That's amazing, dude. I love it so much. We'll probably end up doing a lighthouse episode one of these days.
I thought it was going to say they cut it because of Willem Dafoe's weird, intimidating dick.
It had too much of a bend.
That's a real thing. I implore you and the listeners to Google about Willem Dafoe's weird dick, because apparently his dick is just so huge that everyone gets uncomfortable around it. Like, he's been in movies with frontal nudity,
it's
and they've
the
been
Shadow and Nosferatu.
they've been like, dude, we gotta pull in a dick double because your cock is just unbelievable.
Fuck.
Damn.
I'm not joking. This is true.
What a legend.
Anyway, let the audience go. They need to go.
Yeah, they need to go Google that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, fair enough. All right, you guys. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for listening. We will see you guys next time. Later.
Bye, guys.